I'm going to try this one more time. I'm going to try this video one more time. Today's not going my way, but we're going to try this video one more time. One more time. That is it. That's all I'm giving myself, or I'm just gonna wait and do it tomorrow. So I'm gonna make a video tomorrow anyway. So if this one doesn't get posted, so be it. But kind of just wanted to talk about my experience so far with Primary Machine and how excited I am for this. And then I also want to touch on the stipple job I did on my P10C. So I've had some questions about this. A lot of people saying it looks really good. So I want to touch on that and go over kind of how I did this and how I thought it out. And I know I've done some videos on stippling in the past, but I want to do a little bit more in-depth, kind of show you what I used, how I did it, and all that. So we'll start with the P01, and the excitement will come to a head tomorrow when my slide and RMR come back from Primary Machine. So it's been, let's see, 4 weeks and 2 days from when they received my stuff to when they shipped it back off. And that's 4 weeks of work days. That is not including weekends. That is not including holidays. It's actually 4 weeks and 1 day. So they went 1 day over their estimated return times, which I think is pretty good. They did pretty well. I can't complain. I know what I signed up for. In hindsight, would I do it again? Absolutely not. Not when there's companies like Wager around that will do stuff with a couple day turnaround. And as many of you know, I would have gone that route, but they do not offer any cuts for the 75 series pistols anymore. And so I really had no other option than to go with Primary Machine or Impact Machine or Nameless, or there are a handful of others. But in recent history on Reddit, if you've seen some of the work that comes out of some of those companies, I know I just named names, but I'm not going to name names of who got shit on Reddit, but some of those companies have been putting out questionable work. I've never really heard anything bad about Primary Machine. I've seen actually recently a lot of people on Reddit receiving their stuff back from Primary Machine recently, and it's come out looking really good, and I'm really excited to get mine. While I was waiting on that though, I went ahead and ordered a Shadow 2 mag release from Ben Stoker Pro Shop. Went in pretty easily. Definitely not the easiest mag swap ever, but definitely not the hardest mag release swap. And it's going to take some breaking in, I'm sure. Am I making that noise? Yeah, okay. I was like, what the hell? Is somebody banging on my garage door? But I'm really happy about that. It came out like it works fairly good. It's kind of tight, but it is a brand new mag release, so I'm not gonna fault it for it. Works great. I mean, it releases. I mean, these CZ75 mags, they don't like just fucking come jumping out of the gun as it is. But if you're bang 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 and you go to drop it and you hit the mag release sufficiently, it's gonna come out. I also haven't oiled this. It's just been kind of sitting. You can see some residual on the mag, but nothing's been oiled recently. You know what? Matter of fact, let me just spray some rim oil in there. Somebody's gonna cringe at this. I know any like rational person, it really doesn't matter, but somebody's gonna be like, you can't spray rim oil in there, dude. Work it, work it. Let's I just want to get it in there. I hadn't done this since I put it on either, so I need to get a rag. Wait, let me get a blue one. What's better? I just wanted it to match the follower. So, BSPS, man, Ben Stoker Pro Shop. I was on their text or email alerts for Shadow 2 mag releases, and I was actually on email alerts for a few different companies. They are the only one that I noticed. I may have gotten ones from other companies like CZ Custom or wherever else I looked, but they were the first ones I noticed. And maybe that's just because Ben Stoker Pro Shop doesn't send you a crap ton of emails about nothing like Primary Arms and whoever else does. I'm not saying CZ Custom does that, but I know that I get a lot of emails all day, and it is frustrating. One place I don't get them from though is Ben Stoker Pro Shop. So that was cool. Got an email from them for the first time, and it was for a cool part that I really wanted. So took a while to get, but it actually was perfect timing. It came in a couple days before, actually 2 days before my slide should be back. And I am really glad because now I'll be able to put this all together and have it kind of semi-complete. You know, I didn't want to touch the internals on this, but the more I think about it, the more I kind of want to just ball out with this thing, man. Like, oh man, especially now that Academy has one in stock, it's like, man, if I really wanted another stock one, I could just buy another stock one. You know, they're still making them. It's not like it's an out of production gun. It's not like unattainable either. It's, I don't know, boys. I don't know. I may end up going baller with this one. And when I say that, I just mean full trigger kit and barrel ports, pretty much. That's probably all I would do, is port it in trigger kit or port it with like a race hammer, and that's pretty much it. I don't want to go overboard with it, but I do want it to be cool. I've got the polished barrel already. I just think it'd be really neat to go ahead and get like some grenade ports in the top. Those things look sweet. And I don't know if I'd want grenades or just circles, but you know, that's in the future. Like I said, I'm not in a hurry to send this thing off anytime soon now that it's going to be back in my possession and I'll be able to carry it and shoot it and stuff. I'm going to really want to enjoy it some more before I send it off again. You know, that's kind of how it was when I got it originally. I immediately wanted to send it off and have work done to it, but I also didn't want to be without it, so I kept it and carried it, you know, without an optic on it for a while and just enjoyed it, and kind of came to the conclusion that I didn't need Cajun Gunwork trigger kit or Eman trigger spring kit or, you know, CZ custom stuff. I was like, man, this gun's just as good as, you know, good as it is. I'm just going to get an optic put on it and call it a day. Obviously some extended controls too. That doesn't count as internals to me. Extended controls just make it, you know, easier to run the gun. So maybe my mind will change once it comes back. I don't know. I do not know. A red dot was a non-negotiable though. That had to be put on. This looks too pimpin' without, or with a dot to go without one. That's pretty much it. I've never tried this. No, that ain't gonna work. The B10C mag in the 75, but yeah, so that's pretty much it. Oh, I may have already mentioned this, but Ben Stoker Pro Shop, when I got that email, they shipped out the same day. I put in my order at like 10 o'clock, and it was not just like the label has been created, it had arrived at the post office in Texas, you know, by that same day at 3 o'clock. Awesome. Not a lot of companies ship same day anymore, especially if you order anywhere close to noon. But BSPS, man, they did it and they knocked it out of the park. And if you look down in here, you can see, let's see, you can see that this is fully moving out of the way. So this mag release is not causing anything that wasn't already rubbing before. If you were wondering, you can see it obviously rubs right there. And that is just the way of the P01 and these mags. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that. I'm going to talk about this stipple job. We're already 8 minutes in. This is going to be, that was supposed to be the short portion of the video. So let's go ahead and get this knocked out. So I've done some videos on stippling before, and I've done some shorts on stippling. I did some shorts after I stippled this gun, and I haven't really gone into detail about exactly how I do this. And I've had a few people comment, quite a few people between Reddit and YouTube comment about how good it looks, and you know, the camera definitely is helping me a considerable amount, but I do think this is my best work so far. And I do it a little different than other people, and there are things that I think I don't care about that other people care a little too much about, and vice versa. And so I'm just going to start with the order of operations on how I stipple guns. So the first thing I do is plan it out, and I try to spend as much time in this phase as I possibly can. I will, for a couple days, look up pictures and see, try and get inspiration from other people that have done this already and get a pattern or a style that I want to do. And that's just kind of the footprint, not the actual texture. The texture I do is pretty much the same on everything, unless I want to do like a dot 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 pattern, which I don't know. I think this looks better. So if I'm going to do a dot 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 pattern, I'm just going to do this. But find your layout the way you want, where you want stippling to be, where you don't want stippling to be, and you know, just ponder that for a little bit. Think about it. Like I said, get some inspiration, find some pictures, look at them, Google search, YouTube, Reddit, all that stuff, and see how you want to set it up. And then in the next part, once you have exactly what you want to do figured out, and this may sound obvious, I may be kind of mansplaining this to y'all, but it's true. I never really did focus that much time on this preemptive, planning stage, and I wish I had on some of my other guns. So plan out what you want to do. Like a good example of that is this little detail down here where I didn't stipple to the bottom and I left that. It is actually pretty difficult to find a picture of a P10 chassis without that little detail. Everyone does this. Everyone leaves, and maybe it's for mag wells or whatever, but I did my Glock all the way to the bottom and that had no issues with mag wells, and this has got the little pinch to pull the mag, but normally people don't really care about that kind of stuff. And I thought about just leaving that like half moon shape right there and stippling down to here and here, and I may do that in the future if I find a picture of it that looks really good. But I think this looks the best. All the pictures I saw that had the stippling all the way to the bottom, none of them looked as good as this. And then the CZ logo, of course, is like a no-brainer. That's got to stay. That just looks factory. That makes it look so factory. So figure out how you want to do it. Create your border after that. So you're going to want to create your border, and everyone does this the same way. And as far as any stippling video I've watched or anything like that, you take a pencil, or in my case, I just took whatever was like closest, which is this kind of like paint pen. It's got like a soft tip, and it is pretty much out of paint, but it will write faintly for a little bit, and it rubs off this polymer. So I used that, and I created my top line here, and then these curves are kind of freehand, and I do one side first and mirror the other side. So, but on my straight lines, I'm going to go ahead, figure out how I want that to look, create my line, and then take, you can take something like this or just measure with a measuring tape, from where your line is, pick a reference. But I just did it like this, where I kind of just wrap that around, there's a line, and you can kind of even it up and just kind of make a mark there, and that'll tell you your distance at least, and then you can level it out as far as like, on that plane. Like I said, the rest of that is kind of just done freehand, like this back strap right here. I just kind of did one side first. I don't know if y'all can see that very well. I just kind of did one side first, and I picked, a reference point. Like I'll pick like this. I stopped right at the edge of that. That was a good reference. And I started my swoop down this way, and I ended right at the top of the factory texture and right in that seam right there. So I created that, and then I mirrored that on this side as best I could. Now it's not perfect. I started this a little further back here. The swoop is a little bit different, but for the most part, you're never going to notice. And the only person that's going to notice any of this is you, and it's all about how okay you are with imperfections. I'm pretty okay with it as long as it looks symmetrical at a glance or to, an untrained eye. And a tip for this, don't stipple all the way up here. I don't think, I've never done it, but I see people coming up really high, and I've heard people complain about the webbing in your fingers. I don't think that bit of stippling is worth the discomfort that's going to cause you if you go to the range a lot with this gun. And that goes for this area as well. You talk about Glock knuckle, you stipple this area, you're going to have no knuckle. You're going to have no knuckle if you stipple right there. Also around the mags or the mag release, you can stipple all the way up to the edge. It's not going to mess anything up. And if you get a burr in there, just pop your mag out and take a file and just knock it down. Or you can take the wood burner and do that as well. But I just like leaving a border, a line around the outside. It just looks clean. And so how I actually go about creating my border once I have it planned out and drawn out and marked out is I take this, and a lot of times, actually every time until this most recent time, I did a dot border. So I did dots, and then I would do my squiggly pattern inside, and I'd kind of consume those dots as I went. So they wouldn't look like dots around the outside, but it'd have like kind of a like rougher texture, and it gave you some, it was really forgiving on straight lines. But on this one, see, I practiced here with this new tip. I usually don't use this tip, so this is something else that come on, focus, that I changed about this. Is I used this tip instead of the a finer one that I used before. So that was a little bit different, and obviously I'd love to grab it here, but for reasons you can't, obvious reasons. So you got to grab it back here, which leaves you with less dexterity. And if you're anything like me, you're really shaky, and that only multiplies when you're starting to do something like this to something that's expensive. This is a cheap gun, but this is still expensive to me. This was think I paid $4 or something for this gun with the optics ready model and everything. And you know, that's not cheap. That's an expensive thing. So practice on cheap stuff, man. Practice on this and make sure you're ready for this. Like I said, it's not hard. It's just a lot of patience and a lot of prep. It's like painting. But I took and I kind of drug. So I kind of got this really hot and I kind of just drug along that line. And it is really hard to keep still. That's why you got to go slow. You just got to, I mean, do it little bits at a time if you have to. Like I said, you're going to have to grab up here. So you don't have, you know, the dexterity. You want to pull too. You don't want to push ever. It's going to bind up and bunch up like a bulldozer at the front, or you're going to just stab through. You can stab through this very easily. And that's another thing that a lot of people do is take down the factory grip texture, and they'll even go, you know, recessed, and they'll create that HD border, which looks really hot. Looks hot as hell. I mean, just looks so good. But I can't help but think you're taking away structure. This is polymer already. This is not the most durable material in the world. SIG grips literally are snapping off at the top of the grip. Like, come on. I'm not saying CZ's got that issue, and this injection molded plastic or whatever they use is strong. You know, some of this stuff is fiberglass reinforced. I don't know if this is, but I don't want to compromise the integrity or the rigidity of this gun at all. So I don't take the factory grip texture down unless I absolutely have to really hide it. So as you see through this, you can see some factory grip texture, but it's not enough to bother me, and you can kind of use it to your advantage. But anyway, I can't remember what I was saying really, but I'll just kind of progress as I would post border. So you create your border, you do, you know, everything's symmetrical, everything's looking good, you're ready to do your fill. And just all I do is literally this right here. This is exactly what I do. I get this thing, it's one setting. There's no dial. I can't dial this thing down or up. I just take this and I do this. Wherever. You can start anywhere. I start at a corner and kind of work my way down, but then I'll get to here and come over to this side, try here. I try to do one side at a time, but I just go literally random, just squiggly lines. And you will create a very even texture. Clearly, I was able to achieve that. You can see these kind of flat spots. That is actually the higher spots that the factory grip texture provided more material, so there's more to melt, and it just created high spots. And this was very aggressive at first, and what I did to knock those down, that's why they look kind of flat, is take the edge of this right here, this flat hot part, and I just did that. And it smoothed everything out. You can see on this back strap, you can kind of see the border, and just made it, you know, it's much rougher than factory, but it's not so rough that it's unbearable to wear. And speaking of the back strap, I left originally the line right here. You could see the seam, and it looked okay, but I ended up blending it. So it's kind of plastic welded to the frame, but I've done this on my P09, and it's very easy to get the back strap off, even though it looks like it's one piece now. For the most part, you know, you can't see like a definitive line. There you can kind of see it, but it is not going to be impossible to get off. That plastic, the little bit that you melted over that line, is not going to cause you the inability to get that back strap off or change the back strap if you want. I would demonstrate that now, but knocking this pin out down here is a pain in the rear, and I don't feel like doing it right now. So yeah, anyway, I think that's pretty much it. Take your time, like I said, kind of mirror yourself, create an outline, take your time. If I hadn't mentioned already, go ahead and take your time doing this and be patient. Don't be like me. This turned out probably to be one of my better examples, but it could have been even better had I taken more time and more planning and more forethought. And you know, a nice old road burner would help with that as well. You can dial that temp way down and get it barely enough to melt and kind of make changes. Another good pro tip is that if this is real hot, if you do a FDE grip or a gray grip or an OD green grip, it'll burn it and it'll turn the little tips black or dark green or dark tan, and it looks like crap. Black is very forgiving. You can't really tell, but it will burn too. It'll turn brown. I've had black grips turn brown on me from overuse or over stippling or overheating of that polymer. So be careful with that as well. That's harder to achieve, that imperfection on black. And you likely won't have that issue if you're doing a black polymer frame. But if you're doing an FDE, I highly recommend playing with your dang-a-lang and you know, seeing how at one point, you know, it starts to get hot enough to turn that a different color. You may not have the perfect medium to practice that on, but I'm telling you, most like injection molded plastic is going to act similar. You know, they're all different, but they all are very similar as well. And that is pretty much it, I think, for this video, guys. 20 minutes. This is the third time I've made it. This is the third 20-minute video I've made. I think I mentioned it in the beginning, but it's just not been a good day. Work was... It's just frustrating. It really hasn't been that bad of a day either. I'm just being a big crybaby about it. And now I'm throwing myself a little pity party at home by myself. So, not really. Just, you know... I'm just trying to make light of everything. None of what I'm talking about is a big deal at all. It's just small frustrations that happen throughout the day at work, and sometimes they build up. I've got a long fuse, so it takes a lot to get under my skin. But I digress. So that is it. That's it for today. I'll be back tomorrow with hopefully my completed P01. I'm gonna try and come home, and it's so fucked up because and sorry for cussing, brother. It's so messed up that dang, what was I gonna say? Oh, what I was gonna say, man, it's getting to me, guys. It's getting to me. The day is getting to me. I gotta go. But what I was gonna say was, I'm drawing another blank, dude. What's wrong with me? It's just one of those days, man. I keep thinking about the day now. Oh, all right. Before I forget, I keep mentioning stuff in these older videos that I just did. Like I said, this is the third video today. The third version of this video that I've tried to record. I can't remember what I said in this one versus the other one. So, supposed to come tomorrow. God, now I can't even remember what I was going to say that made me think of that point. I gotta go, guys. Thanks for watching. I will see y'all tomorrow, hopefully with a complete pistol. You know, the tracking says it should be here. It says estimated deliveries tomorrow, and if you follow the tracking, it's en route. It seems about right. So, fingers crossed. I'm gonna try and come home on my lunch break and grab this, or take a late lunch and come home and grab it. If I do, I will obviously post a little short of it complete, and or me maybe unboxing it real quick, and you'll see what I see. You'll definitely get an unboxing with the From primary machine. So look forward to that, and I will look forward to making that video because it should be a very exciting day tomorrow. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I almost forgot. I got some channel recommendations. So obviously the homie Bobby Dynamite, check out his channel if you haven't already. Darius Kincaid, dude, he has got a gorgeous P01, and he's kind of been a big inspiration on convincing me to get ports on this thing. He hadn't tried to convince me personally or anything. I just like his gun, and it looks really good. Go check out his stuff. Darius Kincaid, he runs a slick top slide with just the red dot, which I used to hate, but man, he really makes it look good on that P01. Mike Leasy on Instagram, or Flight Risk on YouTube. Go check out his channel. I know him from kind of back in the day with in the car scene. He's got a Mercedes he's working on right now. It's really cool. He also does some squirting content, which sounds really bad, but if you know what I'm talking about, that some PSR style stuff. He's got a website. He actually doesn't do content on that. He just has a website and creates stuff for people. So check him out. Bobby Dynamite, Darius Kincaid, Flight Risk. Noobs or Nubs the Shooter. He's been around since day one. I really appreciate all the support. Go check out his channel, Dress to Kill Tay, and who else? Tactical dude. What's his name? Eyes and Ears Tactical. How did I forget that? Eyes and Ears. All great channels, all great content, very similar to this or Bobby's style, where we just like talking about guns. But yeah, anyway, there's some channel recs for you guys. Oh yeah, Maverick Mayhem, he's been around forever. I totally forget he makes videos. YouTube never recommends his stuff to me. I promise to you, dude, I'm subbed, and I really appreciate all the comments and stuff. He's been around since the birth of this channel, so which is like over a year at this point. I appreciate all the support, guys, and if any of you haven't watched any of their stuff, go check it out. You're missing out. It's great content. So, all right, thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.